All right, so good morning, everyone. Welcome to this conversation. This is our running conversation that happens every month where we talk about topics of food safety. And today we are going to be talking about sustainable food cold chain. So if we go to a little bit of data, so we see that a shocking amount of food is lost and wastage due to spoilage. This conversation. This is our running. And globally, the total food produced for human consumption, about 14% is lost before it reaches the consumer. In India, of course, we all know it is much worse. Here, it's about 30%. And the lack of refrigeration is a major contribution. The unavailability of robust food cold chains to maintain the quality, nutritional value, and safety of food products. And all of this has ramifications on people's health. So while we continue to improve the infrastructure, we also have to deal with the fact that food cold chain is responsible for about 4% of the global greenhouse emissions. So we'll talk about this and also about the cold chain. So to talk on the various aspects, we have three eminent panelists. We'll start with introducing Shiv Kumar. So Shiv Kumar is the head of quality and HSE at Noman, India's largest cold supply chain logistics company. He has a postgrad in food technology with 14 years experience in food industries like manufacturing, retail, cold chain. His prior experience includes Reliance Retail, More Retail, and Neo Foods. So welcome, Shiva.
Thank you.
Next, we have Arthur. Of course, Arthur is the founder of Arthur's Food Company. He was born in Germany, but he decided to invest in the food business in India in 2009. So for people that old, you would know it's been quite a journey in the world of food from 2009 onwards. And his idea was to introduce processed meat products into Indian market. Arthur started by setting up a factory according to German standards in India, and he started production in 2010. Subsequently, he started a distribution brand, Bon Appetit, and a deli counter and shop company, where he introduced for the first time in India the concept of deli meat outlets. And like we were discussing a little while ago, he was appalled by the fact that there are companies like Beyond Meat, which are talking about vegetarian food. And so that motivated him to start a completely vegetarian brand in 2018. So he entered the vegan meat substitute and launched a brand called Vegania Food in India. And that's dominantly exporting into Europe, also, of course, in India as well. As of today, he has developed complete conception, including raw material supply, factory build, countrywide distribution, and market access, the entire value chain within his group of companies. He's also an independent business consultant and investor. His prior experience, of course, comes from telecom industry, where he was working until 2008. He's a recognized mobile industry expert. He's worked in 38 countries and 5 continents with a lot of emerging economies. And this includes 8 years living and working in India. And I guess that's a little longer. I think those 8 years were earlier when he was doing telecom stuff. But I'm sure it's been quite a journey here and a lot of experience to share. So welcome, Arthur.
Thank you. Good morning.
And to introduce our third panelist, so we have Dr. Edward Danish. He's the Chief R&D Officer and also the Quality Head at Fresh to Home, which is India's leading e-commerce platform for fresh and chemical-free chicken, meat, and seafood. Dr. Edwards has a PhD in marine biology and oceanography from University of Madras. And he says he's lived in the world of shrimp all his life. So I'm sure it will be a fun discussion. Welcome, Dr. Edwards.
Thank you. Good morning.
And before we start, a little bit about myself. I'm Ramesh and I run Food Safety Works. We are a food safety solutions company based out of Bangalore. We do have offices in Mumbai and Delhi, and we work with over 500 food businesses across country to help improve their food safety through implementing food safety management systems, designing facilities that help reduce cross-contamination, ensuring product and regulatory compliance, developing new products, finding product market fits for both India as well as international market. So that's a little bit about myself. We'll start with Mr. Shiv Kumar. So you've been in this industry and associated with the supply chain, both when you were in retail as well as now that you are a part of the supply chain company. So how have you seen the industry scale up in the last decade or so?
Thanks, Ramesh. Yeah, before getting into the topic, if I'm going fast or if I'm not audible, please stop me.
Sure. I think you're sounding great.
Sounds good. Fine. So as today's topic is like sustainable food supply chain, I'll start with this. What is sustainable food supply chain? So sustainable food supply chain is like food systems that provides healthy food to the people and creates sustainable environment, economical and social system that surrounds the food. So when I said how food is contributing to the economical or environment and social. So when, as you rightly, Ramesh rightly said, like 30% of the food is wasted across globally, or like 14%, which you said, which is lost. So it is lost because when it gets food lost, so resources that we use it for producing the food, like water, land, energy, capital, labor, whatever it goes to the lost. And in addition, whatever wastage is their disposal in the landfilling or whatever it leads to the greenhouse gas emission, and indirectly it affects directly it affects the climate change. So this is where like sustainable food chain is very, very, very key role and key important crucial point. So when it comes to the wastage, since you said like 14% food lost, yes, 14% food lost. There are two things we need to understand: lost and wastage. When you said lost, 14% of the food is produced for the human consumption, 14% is lost before even it reaches to the human being. And second is like 17% of the food got wastage or disposed. The factors which challenging for this is not having the effective cold supply chain and refrigeration systems and transportations and storage. Either it can be from starting from the farm level to pre-harvesting or storage and distribution to the market stores, where store or like retail stores or any convenience stores where they don't have adequate facilities to store the food at required temperatures. That leads to leading to the wastage. So when I compare with the Western countries, which is more advanced than India, I can say. So they have good refrigeration transport. It's roughly about 80 to 90%. They have refrigeration transport systems, and 80 to 80% of like they have post-harvesting preservations system already in place, and out of 25% of the produce, which is converting into processed foods. And overall, in the end, if you look into that, only 5% of the food is getting wasted or lost. Parallelly, if you compare in India, so currently we have around 20 to 30% of like what I said, refrigerated transport or storage systems, which is leading to the almost 25% of the overall, I can say 30% of the food is getting waste or lost. So, and we are only able to convert to the processed foods. Only 5% of the produce can be converted into the processed foods currently in India. So if I want to give it in figure, current situation in India, around we have 8,000 cold storage facilities in India, and roughly 10,000 vehicles, refrigerated vehicles, which is actively running in India, which is like very small amount. I can say if you could put it in a figure, it's very small. It comes to around 12 to 15%. And the two major SKUs covering is like fruits and vegetable in that, and the chilled. It's majorly single commodity. Like I can say example of potato. Potato covers 70% of the whole commodity list.
I have one question.
Yeah, please.
How many cold trucks do you have? Not frozen, but cold, like 4 degrees. What's the majority is frozen, right?
So majority is no in India. Yeah, majority is chilled. Frozen is majority.
Do you know
which is operating at -18.
Yeah, and but there are hardly any like just above 0 or 2 degrees, 4 degrees. It's hardly there, right?
Exactly figure about, I don't have the exact figure for like vehicles handling for chilled, like 2 to 4 degree or like 18 degree. If you want to like explain chilled as per the requirement of the product. For example, like apple fruits. So it is around 4 degree and below. Maximum fruits or vegetables are transported chilled.
Yeah, my experience is that you have the chilled trucks, chilling products is much more challenging than having them frozen. So, much more challenging.
Yes, when it comes to the Snowman, what we are doing, our major operation is frozen products. 80% is frozen. So I can say 15 to 20% is chilled. Chilled, we are operating with the vehicles temperature below the 4 degree and 5 degree. And our vehicles are equipped with vehicles are running with the temperature plus degree to minus degree, plus degree to chilled and minus. So when I say plus degree, it's like a tropical temperature or ambient temperature dry storage. So when I say chilled, it's below 4 degree or 5 degree. Start from 0 to 4 degree. And when I say frozen, it's minus 18 degree and below. Yeah, so our vehicles are equipped and ready to supply as per the requirement.
Yeah, but see that, to keep 4 degree, it sounds easier than having minus 18, but it's exactly the opposite.
Yes, exactly.
Because someone opens the door and you have 20 degree, 40 degree, and it cannot go below 0 because then the goods getting spoiled.
Exactly.
I think one reason why from the farms, why you have a lot of wastage is because this chilled format in India is hardly existing. Because all the vegetables, everything, either you process them exactly where the fields are, which is very difficult. So you have to put them on a truck and drive them to the facilities where you have the food parks and process whatever vegetables you have. And that's a big issue because on the trucks, they're not chilled. They're in outside temperature in India, it gets spoiled immediately. And chilling trucks prevents the waste a lot. But then again, it's a different story. I know that's an issue, a big issue.
Right. So one thing I think I had for Shiva was like, how have you seen it like increase in the last 8-10 years that you've been in the industry? How do you see the infrastructure improve?
See, I can say currently it is at 20 to 25% growth is there. So currently, and then it comes to cold supply chain, exactly cold storage at 88%. And cold transport is around 12%.
Got it. Okay. So I think
if I want to tell you about the commodity or like food, processed food growth is around 13 to 14%. Agriculture commodity is around 3.3 to 5%, and branded frozen foods 20 to 25% growth is there, seen in the current scenario. So I can say this is roughly around financial year 20 to 23.
So the growth in financial year is 20 something percent.
Yes.
Cool. Okay, so I think what we are all saying is that despite whatever we have, the infrastructure is clearly lacking.
So, my next next I'm going to talk about the challenges. So where I can cover in brief what even Mr. Arthur also said.
Sure.
So about the chilled or various things, I'll cover it.
Yeah.
I'll take maybe another couple of minutes. We can cover that also.
Sure. So let's come back to that. So I think what you said and what you also highlight, 10,000 trucks in India is hardly anything, right?
Hardly anything.
From one of the largest logistics provider, if you're saying 10,000 trucks, that's absolutely nothing.
So, but I'm happy to say, like Snowman currently have 264 owned vehicles, which can operate at minus 18 to 0 degree, and own vehicles, and we have market partner vehicles around 150 vehicles total put together. We have roughly around 450 vehicles we have running in the market.
Got it. Okay. I think there's lots that needs to be done. So I think coming on to you, Arthur. So you talked about the cold supply chain, and I'm sure some of the pain that you described is probably what led you to kind of setting up your own.
So, Ramesh, sorry to interrupt. This, what Mr. Arthur said, I can give little bit clarification on that. Yeah, main challenge what we are facing in India, especially in India, in cold supply chain is the competition. That competition with unorganized sector. When I said unorganized sector, which is on the price and quality. So that is where whatever Mr. Arthur has highlighted, which covers in this. So we are lagging in the organized sector. We have to scale up from unorganized to organized sector. This is what really even being in a Snowman, we are also facing the issues. Like customers comes and compares with the pricing. So we are happy, Snowman is happy with the price they're charging to the customers, because we are giving the standard service to the customers and customers are happy. Most of the customers, they're not asking about the price when it comes to this moment, because they are happy with the services which they do provide to them.
Got it. So I think we were also discussing the same thing right before we started this conversation, that the excessive focus on cost and excessive focus on price has really hurt the consumers in the long term, right? Because all the customers, if you have excessive focus, the quality kind of deteriorates. Once the quality deteriorates, there is no comparable system, right? So you can there will always be somebody who will provide at a cheaper cost. And if you don't have a good assessment of quality of service or the quality of product. So I think we are in that journey, and I think things are improving. So hopefully people would become more conscious on quality as we go along. So coming to you, Arthur, I think we were at the point where we're talking about the supply chain issues. So the question was really, you built your own distribution company and you talked a little bit about the cold supply rather than the frozen one. So was that something that motivated you to do it, or you saw opportunities, or what kind of drove you to create a distribution company apart from your manufacturing?
Okay, that is the first thing is I'm in a niche market, but every niche market in India can be huge. Who knew about sausages? I mean, I started with processed food, processed meat. So people knew British, English breakfast sausage, but all the sausages today, like the hot dog, like the Frankfurter, like Nürnberger, like Bratwurst, I just copy pasted it from Europe into India. And even now, everybody's using these names. That just copied our days. There was no Nürnberger 10 years ago. Yeah. So these are the names of the German areas where they are made. I saw that India is a huge market. And where do you have a market in the world where you have no competition, huge population, upcoming market, upcoming industries, and food is always something that goes with it, always. Yeah, from the fast food to the high-end food, to real good food. And I experienced that, and a lot of people, I'm in Germany right now. If I fly, usually when I flew back, I had to pack my suitcase with all kinds of sausages and food that I like many people do around the world, because it was not there in India. It was only imported with double the price. Yeah. Or it was some local stuff that was not even quality-wise out of question. I mean, so that's where I saw a huge, big market. So naive, I said, okay, I have to produce it in India. If you want to do food business in India, if you want to do business in India, you have to do it in India. So I said, I have to produce it there. Then I had the factory, and then I figured out people don't even know what I'm talking about, because they don't know our process. They don't know what is sausages or ham or bacon, or French or meatloaf, they did not know. And then in parallel, these modern trade companies came up, like Lulu came. You had Nature's Basket, Big Basket, all these companies came up. And they were looking for products. And then the Foreign Direct Investment Act changed. So foreign companies can have supermarkets owned 100% in India. So they built companies. Metro was the first, but they did cash and carry. It's B2B officially. B2C came in the country, and these companies these supermarket chains had nothing to put in the shelves. Yeah. And that's when it gave a big push to the logistic, to the, how do you say, to the cold chain supplies in all kinds of things, because you hardly have any shelf stable products, definitely not fresh, you know. This is like mustard, and then the big manufacturer came in. You have or supplier for the food industry. Today you have Kerry, you have Griffith, you have Dr. Oetker, Fun Food. They all came in step by step, and these big companies, no big company, no big corporate outside of India can neglect India. If they like it or not, it's a huge market, so they have to start something there. So they've been smart and producing it in India. Of course, it's a different ballgame if you have veggies from the field, you put them to the market, versus from a factory do distribution all over the country with your goods. When I figured out the only way for me to do that is to have my own shops, my own B2C business. That's why I started it. And with that came, as normal, not only in India, you know, don't underestimate India in that way. 40, 50 years ago, when I was a child, you know, like it was similar. Yeah, it was not like advanced in for 100 years, like everybody likes to see Europe or the Western world. It is not. It's the same learning curve. The difference is India is like a big, huge oil tanker in the sea. If it has to stop the engines or have to change directions, it takes 4 or 5 miles for a big tanker. That's a similar thing in India, but it is a big opportunity as well. You know, food safety supply chain, you can build it from the scratch. You can, and you will have a huge kind of power with that industry, not first for India, but then even in the export. But what needs to be understood is that from the field or from growing chicken or, you know, livestock to the slaughterhouse, to the factory, to the packing, to the distribution, this is a long journey. You know, like companies like Licious or Fresh Home, I mean, they're living it, and it's big. And what's the difference to 10 years ago or in Europe? Today you have this online and offline sale. You know, a lot of people buy on the internet. And the online sale has challenges again. People wants to have, they don't go and carry it home. They want to have it delivered. So you have another challenge to have home delivery, you know, on the two-wheelers and chilled, not chilled. You're not, and there you have two things. One is someone orders a pizza or a burger or biryani, and he wants to have it in 15 minutes. Versus buying groceries or some other stuff from the supermarket and you want to deliver, that can be the next day. So all these learning curves, all these making from an idea to have it a liable and profitable business, because otherwise it doesn't work. This is a challenge. But of course, in India is always looking for optimizing, so making it cheaper, lower. In many things you can do it without influencing the quality, but since it is cold chain food is very critical not to cut corners, not to make it cheap, because then it breaks at some point and then it's gone, the business is gone.
Right. So I think I keep saying we spend so much on the shirt that we wear, which is something that goes on our body, but when we want to go buy things that will go inside our body, we are always doing cost comparison, right? So the whole business models in food.
The Germans are worse. The Germans are worse. The Germans have been for food spending from their salary the lowest all over Europe. So in Germany, that was a culture to buy cheap in the big discounters, and now it's breaking, because this has influence on the cold chain, on the production, cutting corners. And now it goes in the other direction. So the Germans are worse, trust me, because Indians love good food.
So, I agree with Mr. Arthur, actually. So it's like competition is good always in the market, but unhealthy competition is always, it leads to peace, as you rightly said. So always any company in India, or like any market, to sustain, to grow. So only way route is like cheap, making the cost cutting. So which breaks many chains. So as I said, starting from scratch to the storage till end customer.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so that's fantastic insight. And now coming to the youngest company in town, so Fresh to Home. So it really started in 2015. You had a lot of learning. You had the opportunity to create something unique for yourself. I know you created your complete own supply chain. You are a direct to consumer model. So what are the kind of decision making in your supply chain did you make? What were your considerations? What did you choose? Why did you choose? So a little bit of insight on that.
Yeah. So to just look at our cold chain, I'll divide it into three parts. So one is that there is a first mile. We call it the first mile, where it comes from the primary production to our factory. So that would involve mostly commercial cold chain trucks, which bring, let us, if I say fish from the landing center to our factory. So that would be monitored with GPS, with what you call proper cold chain data loggers are there. So we get every half an hour, if any breakdown is there, we get an input. And there are proper emergency preparedness plan where if there's a truck breakdown or any other issues are there, we have a backup system where we will be able. So every 50 kilometers, we have contacts of operators and emergency contact person. So that kind of preparedness is there to ensure that the cold chain is maintained. And also we have smaller trucks which can move faster. And so within 8 hours, so if you see, Bangalore is almost in the middle of all the coastal areas. If you take whether it is Mangalore, Chennai, Nagapattinam, a little bit south, like Kochi. So from everywhere you could reach within about 10 hours or so. So this is one thing for our fish and our poultry. Of course, from our processing factory, it comes, and there also it comes with a proper insulated truck. And one of our USP is that we sell all our fish and poultry as chilled product, that is below 4 degrees. So once we receive at the factory, we have cold storages at our factory, and mostly our product inventory is based on a what you call artificial intelligence prediction system, which predicts the demand. So our planning to purchase and all that is linked to that, so that our inventory is only as much as we require for that next day. So even if you go to our app, you can't order for 2-3 days later. You can only order for the next day. So that is how fresh it is. So that is as far as the first mile is concerned. So once we get it our factory, we maintain the cold chain very well within the system. And even as we process, the cold process time temperature control is maintained so as to make sure that there is no temperature loss during the process itself. So our fish is washed with chilled water. So it is, so you can imagine, so even when you're cutting and cleaning the fish, the temperature continues to be in chilled condition. And we have a live tracking of, so the cutting is also as per order. It is, so we have a system, a computerized system, which collates all the orders, and a cutting list is generated every half an hour. So it is live cutting. What is required, only that is cut and processed. So there again, we ensure the freshness and the cold chain. And finally, it is packed and put into our cold storages. Then we have the last mile, the second mile, when it goes from our factory to the hubs. So there we have again insulated trucks, and our product is already packed into bags as per order. And these bags again are put into insulated boxes lined with ice. So almost 1:1 will be there. And then we will put these boxes into trucks. And then it will reach our hubs, which are all within about 2 hours from our factory. That is the farthest maybe. The nearer ones will be within 1.5 hours. And then from there, our Each hub will again have routes, maybe 20, 25 routes. And one delivery boy will take the order in an insulated bag with gel pack. And he has a so this is all controlled by software. So he can carry only 8 orders. Only 8 orders are allotted to him, because that is 8 orders he will take the time to cover. So that will be within 1 hour, 1 hour, 10 minutes, like that. And after he gives each order to the customer, he has to ping in the software, in the app. He has an app, so that we know what is the time that has been delivered. So there again, we make sure that the delivery is within an hour or max 1 hour, 10 minutes. And then we also ensure that the temperature is there. Then there is an independent set of auditors who also verify this en route and also verify it at the hub level. And the delivery chain is continuously monitored with data loggers also, and we match both these information. So we monitor both the container temperature as well as the product core temperature. So that is how from end to end we are able to ensure that the cold chain is working, it is properly monitored, and also it is verified that it is working. So all these 3 steps will be carried. And also we restrict the number of orders that a delivery boy can carry, so that again the cold chain is maintained in a proper way, and the time to deliver also is not exceeded. So this is the direct thing. And then we also do a little bit of express orders, where we have chillers in our hubs. And when somebody wants it urgently, not all SKUs are available. So we have scheduled orders where the full factory inventory is open. And in express, only certain express products are there. So we also have a line of frozen products which are maintained at the hub level. And that will be taken from the hub and delivered to the customer within 1 hour. So there they will be using a smaller bag with, so we have 2 types of, the phase change material. One is for the cold, chilled temperature, and one is for the frozen temperature. So depending upon what type of packet they're carrying, they use that kind of PCMs.
Got it. And do you kind of own all of this supply chain, or
yes,
these are all
100%, including the delivery boys, because they go with our uniform and they are trained, they are vaccinated, and we meet all of the requirements as what you call FSSAI wants us to maintain. And continuously we run internal audits on this, and scores are given to our hubs and personnel, and they will be going through those scores. Those checklists are there, and they will have to, it is like a performance marks card for them, and their incentives and OKRs are linked to that. So the managers' OKRs will be to see how many customer complaints have come in, and so all these metrics are there, and then it is ensured that they comply with whatever is required. And continuous, we have dedicated auditors and trainers who go to every hub. So minimum there will be at minimum there will be 2 visits, and they will go there, and they, with the checklist, detailed audit is done, and then half a day of training is given, and then they also go with the riders, both announced and unannounced. So sometimes they will wait already, they will wait at the customer's doorstep, and these people are going there to get the information. So that we have 2 different layers. And then there are managers and cluster managers who have only 4 hubs each. So the cluster managers only have to handle 4 hubs and everything connected to that.
Got it.
And then we have a preventive maintenance team also, which this is independent of the other teams. The preventive maintenance team is the engineering team, which will go and check the freezers, chillers, whether the gas level is okay, the pressure is fine, the product is cooling well, if there are any issues with the door hinges, all these things, gaskets, all these things, the preventive maintenance people will be checking as per their schedule. So all this put together is what really constitutes the, so like Author was telling, yes, if you use a chilled truck, the minute you open the door, everything becomes cold. So that is why we put our packer products in insulated boxes separately, and then it is loaded onto the trucks. So not much, temperature loss will happen. Otherwise, it's a big challenge to really maintain a cold chain with your products.
So Edward, adding one question. So this
Yeah.
you said insulated boxes. So you're using with the gel PCM gel pads, or how it's maintained temperature?
Yeah, the insulated boxes are like the Syntex boxes, no, the 50-liter boxes. So in that about 50%. So both initially we started with just ice. We used to have this RO treated ice we used to have, and now we have slowly for certain products and certain SKUs we have moved because fish still is very sensitive, so it needs contact cooling. That convection cooling does not. So because of that, wherever that is possible, we use the PCM packs, and where we have to use ice or sometimes even hybrid we use.
It's good. And happy to inform that Fresh to Home is like one of our customer utilizing our transport refrigeration transportations.
Yeah, we have
Carrying
used
the
yourself
fish
and
to your house.
BCD. Yeah.
Cool.
We have a long relationship, and
Yeah,
I've also
yeah,
visited.
yeah.
I have visited your near the electronics. This thing. I have also visited your hub. I think some time back I had visited.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so I think we are really a very small ecosystem. So
Yeah.
I think everybody knows everybody around here. But I think it's good that we are interacting, working together. I think that's the idea, to collaborate as much. So coming back to you, Shiva. So now Dr. Edward has his whole supply chain. Everything is under his control. You, on the other hand, are driven by customers, right? So there may be like different kind of customers. Then there is, so you also do so there is mixing, matching between one customer and the other. So there is some may be doing only storage, some may be doing first mile, some may be asking you for not the last mile. I don't think you guys into last mile, but the second mile, right? So basically moving from your warehouse into the factories and plants like that. So what kind of systems do you sort of implement so that all of these stay connected? I think that'd be the kind of insight that would be helpful.
See, as you rightly said, we do transportation long run also, and point to point, and customer based milk run also. So when I said milk run, like QSR customers, like I can say KFC, McDonald's, or Burger King, or Taco Bell, where they ask to deliver it to multiple stores. Okay, so what we do is, before loading the vehicles, so vehicles will be pre-cooled. Vehicle will be pre-cooled at -15 degree temperature, -12 to -15 degree temperature, and even as per the customer requirement also. So that pre-cooling will be done to ensure there will be no temperature drop immediate or temperature abuse during the loading activity. So loading activity will be done at anteroom area. Once the products are moved out of the cold frozen chambers, so it will be stored means taken for the loading bay. Or loading, we call it as a loading stage. Immediately it will be loading. Loading will happen, and to reduce to avoid the temperature abuse immediately. So pre-cooling will be done and ensure temperature will be maintained. To worst case, it won't be dropped -15 and above. So, and once it is temperature, once it is done, vehicle will be will be in on condition, and temperature will return to -18 within like 20 to 30 minutes. And once vehicle leaves from our warehouse or gate, so all our refrigerated vehicles are equipped with GPS data logger systems. So where we can have track of temperature for every 15 minutes. So wherever there is a temperature, we can lively check what is the temperature of the product in the vehicle and where the vehicle is moving. Both on the transit and the product temperature we can check. In case we have the command center 24/7 will be monitoring this system. And in case of any temperature deviation is there, drop is there during the transit in the vehicle, we'll get a pop-up mails, alert mails. So where from the commander center, we will have a call with the driver and they will ask to check what is the issues. So many cases, like if suppose, if driver switch off the refer condition operation, so then there will be chances of lacing. Immediately, like within 15 to 20 minutes, we'll get alerts. So then we'll keep alerting the drivers, and every 1 hour will come from the command center, person will be calling the driver, and he will check live temperature and as well as like cabin display temperature, what is there. So he will take photos and he will ensure that temperature is maintained, and even transit time also. So vehicle, what speed it is running and where it is moving. So live track will be there, and even in fact like this temperature record report. So as per the customer requirements, yeah, we are providing the temperature data logger reports. What we are getting every 15 minutes or half an hour once. So that throughout the delivery report, starting from snowman to end customer delivery. So what is the temperature record? Data logger report can be downloaded and given to the customer. So customer also can view the report. So this is the mechanism we have.
Cool. All right. So I think technology is
Yeah,
sort of
technology
playing a
plays
big
very
part.
important, but yeah, big
Yeah,
part.
it's playing a big part. Now, coming to you, Arthur, I think from you on the product side. So I want you to play the devil's advocate and say what doesn't work in these systems, and also what challenges sort of you face while dealing with your product. You are probably the, of course, including Dr. Edward. You guys are dealing with a very high risk product, and any breakdown can deteriorate your product very quickly. So where do you see as the challenge, and which of these typically break down, and what happens?
Well, I would say it's an evolution. 10 years ago, and we are customer of Snowman, of course, as well. You know, some of these vehicles or drivers, they just switched off the cooling, and they came with a hot truck onto the factory. So I told them, no, it has to be -15, -20 before we load. Your truck cannot leave before it is cold. But all these things through these technology and all these what you gentlemen said is standard today. So all that is past. It's history. Today it works properly. The trucks are there on time. They have different cooling systems, monitoring systems. All that is there today. This is that part. There, if you have the last mile to deliver to the customer, it's always a challenge. If you do it in frozen, it's easy, but like fresh to home is like, people want to have a fresh meat, not frozen. And they order it like in a butcher shop because you have a nice website, you can have this, and you want to have it, and you want to have it fast. That's another challenge, because that's where it can get critical. You are 1 hour in traffic is nothing, and then the temperature might go up but it is a logistic challenge to deliver that and to do it in time. If you deliver it overnight or the next day, it's completely different. But there was even in some of the sectors like we deliver in 15 minutes. It went through the press, some of them. 15 minutes. We don't need 1 hour. We do it in 15 minutes and this is I think that's the wrong way to do it. People get used to, if you say, okay, I order, especially if you have this stuff that you want to cook, you don't need it in 15 minutes. You need it probably in 1 hour or in 2 hours. That makes a difference in the whole delivery. The other thing is food handling. A lot of these people and labor and drivers, they do not even know what food handling is. They don't know that -15 degree is different to -21 degree. Or why it is very dangerous if the temperature goes up from 4 degree to 10 and 12 degree, and then it goes down again. So education level is or give them like training classes in food handling. I had to do that in the whole factory with everybody. Our people came from villages because in India you have either intellectually highly qualified smart people, and you have the day-to-day labor. There's not a lot in between. So I gave them like an apprenticeship, like you have in Europe, in Germany, or classes. Why it is important to check the meat, to do this, to do that, because our products are, the raw meat comes in, and sausages go out. So we have the whole thing of the production. Then we have to deliver the sausages and. And there's a part, even if you produce it, why it is important to make this step and that step and not differently. And that's a challenge. The technology itself is available. Cooling trucks are available. Now we can argue about, oh, we need smaller ones or bigger ones, or, there, I think the real challenge and what was discussed in the beginning, wastage is in 4 degrees, 2 degrees, 4 degrees. This would help the especially on the vegetable side and. Personally, we only have fresh, that means 4 degrees in Bangalore, because that's where the factory is. Everything else is frozen. Everything else is frozen. We cannot risk it.
So I think a very important point you brought out was on the people and the food handling. We've seen, at least in the fresh food, some of these guys running around in two-wheelers and sort of jumping signals, or that is what people like to believe, trying to reach to the delivery in time, but such basic levels of hygiene non-existing with them. So it's kind of appalling.
I take my head off. I take my head off for like fresh to home and all these dishes or whatever. Dealing with raw meat in India, I take my head off.
Thank you.
Everything that I have is cooked. Everything that I have, you have the bacterial counts when something comes in. If you cook it 60, 72 degrees, which is a sausage, you can now argue what is in the sausage. I don't put starch inside. I don't put soya inside. But this is what I do. I want to have it like in Europe or better. But everything that goes out of the factory is clean. It is clean, and that's a big advantage. Because if you have raw meat and the people cook it at home, they don't cook it properly, and it's around the world. It's not only in India. You can have problems, especially with chicken and with all kinds of. So this is a big challenge. That's by far more challenging, this part of the supply chain, supply to the customers, than what I do. Frozen or fresh, and once it is fresh, it has a shelf life of a couple of weeks because it's vacuum packed, and it is not raw meat, it is processed meat. So that's a different ballgame. And people approach me, oh, can you get this and that? We want raw this, raw that. I said, I don't deal with raw meat. Sorry. It's a different ballgame. I cannot do that.
Right. So I think that leads into the next sort of question to Dr. Edward, which is, Shiva, you had something to say?
I think when it comes to the Indian peoples are very good in cooking traditionally, since coming to the modern world. So they're very good in cooking. They have, of course, I'm sure people ensure that at least to that level, so they avoid the risk.
I think we love overcooking as well. So I think that's the other side. And then, I guess our guts are much stronger. we can digest anything. So far we've been lucky. I don't know how long that will last.
I'd like to add one small story here. So whenever I used to train people abroad in food safety, they used to challenge me, what is this? There is no food safety in India, and you're talking about, many of them are Asian, stuff like that. So I used to tell them, no, it is not very true, because we have, you don't look at it properly. So I used to give them an example of how we cook rice. So now, of course, we go to the supermarket and get already cleaned stuff. But in the old days, what would happen is the very first step would be winnowing to remove all the fine particles, and then they would sort. Little by little, they used to put the rice on a plate and they would sort it. And I remember doing that as kids, when the rice was not so pre-cleaned and stuff, we used to have mud balls and small stones and things like that. So that is a removal of your physical hazard. And then they would wash it at least 3 or 4 times to remove all kinds of chemical hazard. Then they would cook the hell out of it to remove all the biological hazard. You would eat it fresh and you would not refrigerate it. You would not eat it tomorrow, nothing.
Yeah, but exactly this is, India has food safety for thousands of years.
Correct.
All the dishes, all the kitchen, all the spices. And it's Trust me, I worked in Latin America, I worked in Africa, I worked here, there, this. Even in Germany, or even in no one has food safety without an FASSI involved for thousands of years, like India has. And don't forget the numbers of dishes you have, like thousands of different ones in all over the country. They managed it, you know. Okay, you don't eat fish inside India, you eat it at the coast. That was the old day, and not on certain months and this and this and this. But it worked.
So, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
You know,
And even me, you know, I never eat fish in restaurants.
yeah.
I don't believe them. Any restaurant.
Yes.
I only stick to chicken.
Yeah.
Because I am used to such fresh seafood that I will never eat.
Correct. And this is even a challenge you guys have, or we all have to educate our end customers. You know, if someone has a cold cut, he says, "Can I eat it? It's not cooked," you know, or sausage. And I said, "It is cooked, but before." All these things come into, you know, even don't think India is far behind. I mean, in Europe, this processed food, if you have a little farm or a little house, everybody had some pigs. So you slaughter a pig. You cannot eat a pig with a family in a week. So what do? So you cut it in pieces and put it in the chimney where you smoke it, or marinate it. That was Black Forest ham. Today, delicacy. Not even 100 years ago, it was necessary. Otherwise, you cannot do it. Or making the sausages, or just to preserve the meat. If you go, you know, where my wife is from, so you go to the Northeast, they have special kinds of preparing meat. And without refrigerator, without chemicals, without regulations. So it is there. So you can smile at the rest of the world if someone says you have no food safety in India.
Right.
True. And also, if you look at us, you know, culturally, we have a lot of pickles.
Yes.
Pickles are salted.
Yes.
And
yes.
so all kinds of the water activities removed. And there you have a safe food to eat, which you can preserve.
Yes,
and you have dry fish.
Yeah.
Dry fishes were always dried.
Yeah.
So, you know, it is not so. Many people have a lack of understanding of the cuisine and the social and the cultural way that we eat, you know. So that's where they think that food safety does not exist. It is not true.
I'm telling you,
something to do with the way we eat.
In the Western world, I mean, as I said, this pickle thing I brought up in with my R&D guys, because I said, you know, we're working on some other stuff to preserve some products, veg and non-veg. And they were thinking, and I said, yeah, you can make it in cans or in glasses. I said, you guys have pickles for I don't know how many years. You know, just it's the same like pickle. Or put a bit more acid in, or cook it, or do both. You know, you guys know how to do it. It's not the food industry dictates you how to do it. And let's face it, the food industry in general, they have two things they love. One is water, and one is powder. Yeah. Everything they like to produce and like ready-made and this and that is these two things. In Europe, you know, they said like 30 years ago in the 80s, they said, oh, don't eat sugar. Sugar is very, very bad. No sugar, no sugar. Okay, why do they? So they did sugar substitutes, processed food, but they said no sugar. It was on cornflakes, on everything. Later, then 10 years later, it was no salt. No salt, no salt. Or then they came no fat, no oil, no fat. They always come up with something. And I'm telling you, this vegan hype is the same. Like, you know, don't. And they use all kinds of, I'm from the food industry, but they use all kinds of reasons like save the planet, only eat veg burgers and this and that, you know. Food industry does not like to have fresh food. If you make fresh food like salad, like veggies, like something fresh, fresh fish, they want to have it processed. Otherwise, they don't make money. And the funniest thing is in Europe, in the last 2-3 decades, and even in the US, the average weight of people, they got fatter and fatter and fatter with all these things.
Right. So what I say is, if you can recognize the food, then you have a replacement, right, for that food. Yeah. If you cannot recognize it, then you've got to buy it from them. So I guess that's what drives the food industry, saying I've got to change from one form to another, so it just looks different and it does not grow in trees. Some people will beat me for saying this. I am part of the industry as well, but I do say that. So,
But see, on the other side, if you have the fields and the farms, if you cut cut this supply, this logistic from trucks, not cooled, to a factory and make the factory very close to the farms, that cuts down your waste, your 30-40% of veggies, not rottening in the market. But that's another step, without a lot of technology, without a lot of money, and
Sure. So I think we were.
Had this actually in my previous company. So we started like fresh chicken supply chain. So we succeeded, but when I was doing the benchmark with the market chicken, what is the difference and what is the feedback, why customers likes, including personally at my home. So still people prefer live cut chicken than the any frozen or chilled chicken.
yes.
Right. So I think we were getting into the last mile delivery, and then from there we went on to a different place. So coming back to that, I think people are an integral part of the supply chain. We talked about training. Dr. Edward, you deal with your own suppliers and your last mile guys. So what kind of training do you give them? What do you tell them? How do you make them sensitive to the whole idea of the supply chain, the food safety and everything?
So we have two kinds of training. One is basic food safety training we have. Then we have a separate set of trainers who train them on the etiquette of their personal grooming, how to behave with customers, how to greet them, those kinds of things. And so the basic food safety training will constitute all of these personal hygiene issues and, maintaining hygiene with their delivery bags. And we have given them specific SOPs, how to clean their bags, clean the gel packs after they bring it back from a customer's place once they use it, and again, how they will store it. And then they have a deep cleaning scheduled day when we have low order days, so those days we have fixed. So so daily cleaning will be there, deep cleaning will be there, and they have checklists. And then the other most important thing is FIFO. They have to maintain FIFO. Because we have all short shelf life products, so they have to make sure that it is returned to the factory. Something expired is not shipped to the customer. So all these aspects are included, and the subject wise we have slides, we have proper, I told you, the auditor goes there and he audits half a day, and then the next half a day, normally in the midday the orders are less and they are a little bit more in tune to have some training. So between 11 to 3, they spend some time on training. And each time that they visit, they take up a specific topic. They cover all the general aspects. And then each specific aspect is taken and they're trained. And then we give them training assessment sheets, which are more pictorial. They don't need to write anything or read anything. It will be like comparative pictures, of a well-groomed person, maybe not well-groomed, and they will have to tick which is the correct way to follow. These kind of assessments we have, and then once they give it, we also go through that and see if he has any lack of understanding. And if it is there, then we recommend him to also talk to him and then explain these things to him. And also we get some feedback from customers also, that how these people are when they're going. We give some feedback forms to the customers also, and then we get the feedback from them. So these are some of the things, we have given them all proper standard operating protocols for each item. Like I told you, it is fixed. Even if they want, they cannot get more than 8 orders, because 8 orders come into their cell phone through their app, and only those orders they can collect in their bag. And after they deliver each order, they have to hit the screen. So, and we give them 60 minutes to 70 minutes to cover all of the orders. So we don't promise any, 15-minute, 10-minute. We were, even when this trend was there in the market, we did not change our delivery standards at all. So 60 minutes continued to be there for us. And so they cover this distance, and each fellow is dedicated to one particular route. The delivery executive goes only in that route. So he's very familiar with that area, and he knows what are the houses and things like that.
So you don't have
outside. Very easy.
Yeah, these are the procedures that are definitely necessary, but you have your own delivery people, right? You don't. Correct. Partners. That's a big advantage.
They are not. Yeah, they are not contractors. Exactly. Yeah, we did try that in the very early days and we failed, so we don't use that anymore.
No, don't. That will kill you, and that will be. It's a different.
So all our bags, all the delivery executives' uniforms, everything is branded. And even when they finally they take it from the cold bags and they put it into a paper bag and then they give it to the customer. So all the presentation, everything is taken care of.
So I think that's a very important point, which is saying that everything is within your kind of control, right? Saying the behavior, so there is much better control. There is, I think, predictability you talked about, saying everybody goes on a certain route. So I'm sure that gives them the familiarity, the time of delivery, I'm sure the learning curve. So I think all of these go into improving the learning on a certain person, right? So when you repeat is when you perfect. So I'm sure just keep doing it again and again and again, sort of makes it better and better and better. So I think
at the end of the day, you have to invest money to do that, but this will pay back because people, the end consumer is not stupid. Yeah, he recognizes that these are trained, that you can trust this company, that you can trust the delivery, these people, everything. So it's well invested money. I had in I'm small, but still until today, we have the supreme products in what we are doing. And we trained the people, it's a bit more complicated. They have to deal with machines, Western European computerized machines. But I always had for 10 years, always a German production or butcher master in the factory, an expat. Small as we are, we always had an expat there who trained the people. Today, I have a team that can, on their own, without any foreigner there, make these kind of products. Yeah, I always had a veterinarian doctor on my payroll employed to check and for a small size. People know that now. They know, okay, if I buy this, it's super good. It's like imported, etc., etc. So investing in these hygiene and safety things pays back at the end of the day. If you order some fish from fresh to home, and sometimes there's one guy coming, someone makes it as a hobby. Sometimes you see that if you have the same like the postman in his uniform, then it gives you a certain security of good product, fresh. I can trust it.
Right.
And also
That's
we
are
and just to add to that, we are so any customer, any kind of complaints, no question asked, we replace. That is a kind of challenge that we have taken with the customers, that we don't question them at all. If they are unsatisfied, even a small complaint, we replace the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, and we have found that, definitely, and we have a benchmark also that we keep our complaints down to 2 complaints for every 1,000 orders. That is the benchmark we run, and it is continuously tracked. We have a separate customer service team, which takes the customer complaints, and they will give the feedback to the factory, and whatever correction root cause analysis has to be done is done. So all that feedback mechanism is there, and immediately it is taken care of. And even in the hubs, to maintain the cold chain, we have the emergency preparedness plans there. So if any breakdown of equipment is there, we can shift the product immediately to the nearest hub. And on the computer, the pin codes are changed, and from that hub, that pin code will be serviced. Yeah. All that tools we have, so that also we have a heat map, so we know also how the orders are coming in, how we need to, and we have a replenishment team which works in the back end.
Yeah.
And just-in-time replenishment also happens.
But the reward will be there. I mean, there's especially in your area, delivering like the fresh meat stuff. There's big competition, in India, because there's a lot of startups, a lot of these people, without saying names, they try to do it. Some will die because they don't go for these basics. You know that it's tough, and you have if you have customers repeatedly, they will go to you. Once they're happy with you, they will not go anywhere else. They will not try another delivery service. They stay with you.
Especially
so it's worth
it.
It's, it's exactly. If you do something in India properly, you will be successful. And these are if you try to make it, I cut corners here and there and this, and people are willing to pay for this extra couple rupees if they know I can trust it.
Right.
And we
So I
also
think
understand that India is a price sensitive market. So we price our products very competitive. We
Yeah.
don't make it cheap or anything, but it's very competitive and no unnecessary, extravagant packing and all that. Very decent what is required. Nylon bags, vacuum packed, properly sealed,
Yeah.
no tamper proof,
People
Yeah,
actually
you
like
have
the
to.
quality of the
correct
product.
temperature. These
People,
are the things we focus on.
people likes the quality of the product. Even it doesn't matter to pay. Even cost is also high,
True.
and they trust.
So I think the key is the trust, and I think we've somehow, I don't know, as a culture, we think we think everybody is out there to cheat us, so we don't
No,
develop
no.
trust.
So
We don't.
that is
we
what
don't,
I keep telling,
Yes.
even though
Yes.
we have this no questions asked return policy, we still see that whatever customer complaints come in are really genuine.
No,
It
I'm
is
just
not
saying
that,
that.
yeah.
It
So
is
people, yes,
changing
people
over
are,
time.
the trust is there. Even we can trust our customers.
No, I'm not saying that the customer are not trustworthy, but somehow, at least I've thought that traditionally we've been a very opportunistic society where we've sort of tried to exploit situations, and I see that a lot of time. And you find it difficult to trust, but once you trust, I think then in India, the customers go a long way. Once they start trusting you, I think they.
Well, exactly. And it's like I always tell when I'm on a pitch or I have big customers or this or that, or even my end customers, I say, listen, yes, we are more expensive than some of them producing stuff that is what my raw material cost is. And I tell them something. I said, this is made in India. It's not imported from Germany, the sausage or this or that. It's made in India. We make a Mercedes in India, not a Tata Sumo. So what do you want to have for your family? You want a Mercedes or Tata Sumo? But it's made in India.
Right.
And that's understand. And I think the mentality, of course, they want to have it cheaper and this and that. But at some point, people in India are very, percentage-wise, they spend much more money for food than in Europe or in Germany. Yeah. So the market is there, and they like to try different things, new things. In the past, if you make big families, they send their Ramu to the market, say buy some chicken. Today they look what kind of chicken can I get, what pieces can get, and they cook themselves. It's the whole, not the whole culture, but this part of the culture is changing and ready to eat stuff and make it, small families. And all that comes, and these people are not that price conscious and want the cheap. They don't.
Right. So I think coming back to my thread of conversation, I think we talked about trust a little bit, and we talked about SOPs. And then I think Shiva initially was talking about the fact that they are certified with BRCGS. So I think, so just want to bring into context some of the standards, right? So standards are a great way to build trust. And how to kind of also maintain your standardization of quality and product. So, Shiva, do you want to talk a little bit about the standards and how they kind of help you with the systems and what kind of processes that you've set up?
Yes. See, cold supply chain, when I said talk about the cold supply chain, it includes some 3 to 4 components like storage, distribution, or like skilled personnel or trained personnel, and I can say management procedures. In other way, it's SOPs. So we in Snowman, like we have converted all our SOPs to video SOPs. So where there is a pictorial diagram as well as audio in both in English and local language, so that it will be easy for the people to understand. So there will be a continuous process. Awareness training will be there. That is a continuous to ensure the safety. So, and finally to ensure the food safety culture at the workplace. So when it coming to the process, so chambers, all our cold storage chambers, so it's like minus 25 to plus 25 convertible chambers. As per the requirement, we can requirement or product requirement temperature can be changed and store the product. And we have a mechanism of like data logger sensor is there, and where temperature of the data logger, temperature of the each chambers, it will be monitored. And if there is any deviation, in the temperature, like there is a drop of 1 degree or 2 degree in the chamber, immediately there will be a mechanism system that pop-up mail will go to the stakeholders like quality head or technical head or operational head, so that people will become aware and attend the issues and to resolve the issues as early as possible. So, and in case of any breakdown, we have like compressors, additional back support. We have parallel backup is the compressor. So at any point of time, if any chamber goes wrong or breakdown, so we can run with the other compressor. And second thing, we have like 24/7 backup of DG. So where we can ensure the temperature is maintained always.
Right. So I think this brings us to a little bit of a question on sustainability that we talked about, saying we have the electricity, we have the generator, we have all kind of power sources, and we're consuming a lot of power. What do you see as a path to kind of reducing some of these greenhouse gas emissions?
So you asked the right question. Since the topic is on sustainability, gases, also any cold supply chain where they use the gas for the compressor. So there is an emission of the gas which affects the greenhouse as well as ozone depletion. But in Snowman, we are using the Freon gas, which is R404A, which has zero effect on the ozone depletion. And so we have we have other gases also, like we can be replaced for Freon also, CO2 and ammonia also, which have both zero effect for greenhouse emission and as well as ozone depletion.
Got it. But overall, all these vehicles running around with compressors running and all of that, right? It's a lot of energy that you consume. Yes. So now how do we kind of tackle that part?
So we are converting some of the vehicles to CNG to avoid the fuel consumption, which indirectly affects the sustainability or environment or emission. So that is one thing we have taken initiative. And if you like, as a Snowman, we have installed solar system across all our warehouses, where from the solar energy we are utilizing. So our total utility, 30% of the utility, it is contributed from the solar energy. So in other way, adding to that, like all our warehouses, chambers are automized, auto door closure, and inside the lights, once door is opened, it's a sensor mode.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So I think there is some thought being given, and I hope this sort of keeps improving. I guess it's a time evolving thing and how we can make it more efficient. Now, coming to you, Arthur, a little bit on, again, systems, processes, and monitoring. So there was one part where you have a store-in-store concept where you have delis and all of that. So one would be, how do you kind of monitor those kind of systems? Is it your responsibility? Is it the store's responsibility? How do you track some of these? And also a little bit around sustainability, saying typically the more shelf stable the product is, the lower you're going to have to worry about maintaining tight controls and all of that. But that also means using more preservatives or other hyper processing technologies to make it shelf stable. So what's your thought on those two?
We have basically we monitor all our counters, and in the factory, just to have the safety, we have the same concept. We have 1+1 redundancy. On the other hand, there is not much that we do different from what they do in Europe in sustainability. We source everything from India. That's in the processing. There's not that much that we can do. We trained the farmers. We have basically we rented the farms to breed the pigs. To get supply of chicken in India is not a big problem. So we use whatever we can. We use from India. What I have to import in the land, for example, for the land of the spices, I have to import for the different products spice mixes from Europe. Because if you want to have a bratwurst, it has to taste like a bratwurst. The first one, and after 1,000 of them. Hot dog has to be a hot dog. Nürnberger has to be Nürnberger. So this taste and this quality you only get with this industrialized spice mixes that you can trust. They always taste the same. You know, in India, if you buy pepper, it's not pepper the next time. It's not the same. Even salt tastes different. So the spices I import, some of the casings, because we have real cured salami. The cured salami needs a curing fungus, a food fungus, which I cannot get here, and some wood for the smoke chamber. Peach wood from Germany, especially for the smoking. But everything else, all the other material we get from India.
Great. So I think localization is definitely a key, and I think you've said that repeatedly. You are a big proponent of make it in India. So I guess that's your sort of contribution to making the supply chain more sustainable, sourcing locally and helping on that. And as we come to our 12:30 deadline as we are approaching, so one set of final question to you, Edward. So you talked about customer complaints and all that, and we found that sometimes customers themselves don't know and how to handle a product, and they end up messing it up, but then they will blame it on you. We see that with packaged products, they will throw it out into the sun and say, okay, this is not as per. So nobody reads what is written on the label. So some of those things that you've seen, something weird, what do you do to train your customers to understand the criticality of food safety and everything else?
Yeah. So the first thing is, we disarm the customer with our charm. So that is there. But having said that, we have started this initiative that whenever a customer orders something, we send a WhatsApp message how to handle it. So they get a kind of if it is a marinated product, they get a recipe, they get the methodology for cooking and how they should use it and things like that. So it kind of helps the customer to handle the product correctly. So that part is taken care of. And also there are some people, even otherwise, they will have some very subjective complaints. It might not be a quality complaint. They might be comparing their experience with some other meat they've eaten. And these are all farmed animals, so there is some slight seasonal variation and things like that. So we have collected from our database, we have collected and we have prepared an FAQs, and we train our customer service officers, and they talk to them and they explain the things to them. Sometimes the customers get convinced, sometimes they want to escalate it. Then there are some situations where even, some customer told me that he has imported some ozone machine, during this COVID time. And he said, I am washing a chicken with ozone. No. So what do you tell him? And he says it's bubbling and frothing, So I will tell him you can't do that. So yeah, it is a challenge, but we kind of we go with the idiom that customer is king, and we try to handle it and speak to them and try to talk to them and get them to understand what is the reality.
Yeah, I think
we have to praise the person who has given the idea of ozone washing for the meat.
Yeah, so I think COVID brought a lot of these machines, right? So there was the UV sterilization machine.
Normally ozone washing will be done for vegetables and fruits, but not for
Correct.
Correct. So he must have bought it for a vegetable and then he started using it for chicken. I don't know.
Yeah, no. So I think COVID brought a lot of these people into the foreground. We actually had some people who would use detergent to wash vegetables, and they would come and ask us. And these are not our customers, but some of our friends, like, okay, there is pesticide and there is all these things. So can I wash it off with soap liquid? And then we are like, the likelihood of you leaving a detergent residue on your food is probably higher than removing the pesticide on it. So you should probably stay away from it. But when people, I think, are worried, they do funny things, and it's probably one of those things. Now, just a last sort of question to you. So you are, of course, a hyper-local kind of a business, right? So you have local plants and local machineries. The fish, of course, you cannot make it hyper-local. You have to get it from the sea, unless they're river fishes. So how do you kind of maintain this local supply chain within your area? And how do you kind of support the suppliers on that?
See, we have something called as a commodities exchange. So it is an app basically, and the fisherman can download this app onto his phone. And let us say they go out today to fish and they caught a boat full of fish, and they have this app, and they can come back and tell, okay, I have 1,000 kilos of sardine, and he can bid with us. So now what happens is we get bids from all over the coast, and we optimize for the cost and for the volume that we can get from one particular location. For example, you might have sardine today in Malpe, and you might also have sardine in Nagapattinam. So depending upon what is the volume we require and what is the cost each of these coasts is giving us, because all the auction in fish harbors are local. They don't depend upon what is the cost in Nagapattinam or what is the cost. So depending upon what the demand is there in that local area, that is the cost. But we get the data instantly from all the auction spots. So we get bids from all the fishermen from wherever. So once we get the bid, whichever is the optimum bid, we send our logistic team there, and then the material is lifted from there. So that is optimized, and also the distance, volume, everything is minimized. So it is a very optimum way of getting your product to your factory.
Yeah. What about the traceability on your product? So how do you maintain?
Yeah. So whenever it comes to our receiving, each lot will be given a lot number. So that lot number will become the GRN. In the GRN it will be there. And then whatever fish I told you, we have a active cut on demand kind of thing. So whenever they are cutting, they will know from which lot and which batch they are processing, and they are putting into the pack. So we have a QR code which is generated for each order. So once you scan the QR code, you get the full details of what the customer has ordered, everything, all the details you get. And if you see the batch number of the product and scan it in our computer, we get the full up to the GRN, all the information we get. So full backward traceability and forward traceability is possible in our system. And everything is automated. So including our weighing balance, suppose if a customer is getting 532 grams, it will charge for only 532 grams. So it will, or if he's getting 497 grams, it will only charge for 497 grams. Because when you cut, there's a small variation. So right. Before, customer used to complain, I'm paying for 500 grams, I got only 490 grams. If it is more, they are happy. Mm-hmm. So there is a tolerance of 20 grams. But beyond that also we used to get complaints. So now it is live, active. So the weighing balance will print the label as per the weight. So everything is integrated into our software, and we have in-house software. So even when the fish gets loaded onto the truck, it can reflect in our inventory if we want. And customer can ask when the fish is traveling from the coast to Bangalore factory, people can order the fish.
Nice.
And we have had instances when the whole fish was sold out even before it reached the factory.
Right. That's a good problem to have. I just hope legal metrology guys are not sitting here listening to this.
No. It is not that we are selling. It means we have the stock is traveling, but the legal metrology also, those weighing balances are active weighing balances. So whatever weight you put there is, and those are sealed again by the legal metrology guys.
Right. No,
those are calibrated and sealed.
They get excited about things like this, saying, there is one more place they need to check, and then they will show.
No. They come every year. They come every year. They are there and they check, they calibrate it, and it is sealed.
Government people, especially when it comes to FSSAI and weighing scales, by default they will visit once in a year.
Right. No, so now they are doing a lot of vigilance on the retail packs. I think that is where a lot of energy is being spent. We do get a lot of
even the label, even the label that we print, it will be as per the FSSAI requirement, and there is a QC check is there, and all that happens, and then only it is passed out for market. It is released to market.
Cool.
So all that process is put in place.
Yeah, I think we are very close to our 12:30 time. So just time for maybe one or two audience questions. I'm done with mindset. So there is one question from Lokesh. He says, how does using insulated cases inside cold vehicles make things more effective? I think, Edward, you had that setup that you talked about. So I think probably the question is for you.
See, basically insulation, it depends upon your volume. If you have a huge volume and a point-to-point delivery, and also if your delivery time is larger, you can use a full vehicle. But if you're, let us say, sending 50 kgs to one location, 50 kgs to another location, then it makes sense to use insulated boxes. So that, and also our boxes are sealed, tamper-proof seals are placed on the boxes. So there is also concern that during transit, there should not be any opening or any removal or adulteration or anything like that. So that is a very important aspect. So all our vehicles are locked on the top of that, and there will be two keys. One will be here, one will be the hub. And again, when we are unloading in the hub, there will be a temperature check and a log will be maintained there. All such things are there. So when you put, if you are, it depends. See, from the factory to the hub, it is under 2 hours. So you can do this. Suppose if it's a longer travel, then you can use the full truck. It all depends upon your objective of how much you're transporting and to which location and things like that. So for shorter locations, it's always better to use insulate trucks with ice or with PCM packs.
Right. So the other thing I think Arthur also mentioned and you also mentioned is if you use a cold truck, so when you open the door, the temperature will suddenly rise, right? So with the insulated boxes, that problem is avoided a little bit.
So if you're doing a milk run, point to point, if same vehicle is going to 2 or 3 hubs, then there will be a temperature loss. So that will not happen here.
Correct. Okay. So I think we are dot at 12:30. So we should start wrapping up, I guess. We're already running a little bit, but fantastic conversation. So just as a wrap up to this, any quick 1-minute closure? So we'll start with Shiva. Any final thoughts?
So I think, I'll try to point out few things like, first I'll start with the challenges. So in cold supply chain or food supply chain in today's conditions, like as I said, unorganized sector is one, and inadequate infrastructures which we haven't seen in the India. This I'm talking about the overall India. So skilled laborers, getting the skilled laborers was the one main task. Similarly, professional drivers, getting the drivers, that is a very, very big challenge now, because they are the people who ensures food is traveled from farm to the end customer and ensuring the safety of the food. So also like improper packaging of the products. So if you see our warehouses, many customers are providing the food, especially when it comes to the meat frozen foods or meat frozen foods. The packing material, the kind of packing material they use, it's not up to the mark. Like there's a chance of getting exposure or contamination, which is not there in our end again. And temperature management complaints is one big thing where we can apply the technology or softwares which you can monitor, which we are doing at Snowman. So which helps, like in Snowman, our software IT structure is very, very big. Like we have a traceability control system and the temperature compliance from the vehicle as well as the chamber, and we can do WMS or ERP or inventory, shelf life monitoring. Everything can be, especially traceability. We can use it through IT software which we are having at Snowman. So that, and also it gives the real temperature of the product both at warehouse as well as the cold room. So and also our command center is there at 24/7. It's monitoring from first mile to the last mile. So ensuring this food is safe. So finally, adding before ending, this is the right time to scale up cold supply chain system in India. Mainly, we need to focus on adopting the technology, software, and digitalization. Why I said digitalization is like here in Snowman, we have developed a software where all quality audits or safety audits or any other kind of audits which you do at our warehouses. We do it on real time with mobile apps. We have developed SnowCheck app where we do submitting the report at real time.
Got it.
Mainly,
So-
I need. I want to say like technology and software, which plays very important role in the food supply chain to ensure the sustainability.
Got it. Yeah, technology has definitely solved a lot of these monitoring issues, which were very people dependent earlier. So now you have accurate, timely monitoring of the system. So that's definitely there. Arthur, your last thought?
Basically, you have to give quality to the consumer. That's all. Quality to the end consumer, not cutting corners, not cheating. It starts from when you collect at the field, when you monitor the fish, when you not put soya or all that stuff in the sausage, all the way to transporting it in thermofoam boxes, proper cooling chain, etc., etc. So just quality from A to Z. It's not one box and you make this nice and the product is not good, or the cooling is there. So the whole thing has to be quality, and there's a lot of improvement to be done in India. We will use, there's a company called, I don't know if you know it, TraceX. They're specialized in food blockchain. That's what we're going to implement, because our whole supply line and production and value chain is pretty complex, you know, from the farmers to the production, etc., etc. So we're putting a blockchain, which is technology you can get in India easy, because software, everything, they're fantastic people. Putting a blockchain on it, then you can trace the last ham, bacon, sausage, the product all the way to the farmer and the factory and the batch numbers, etc., etc. But again, quality, that's the issue. It has to be quality.
Right. So I think very important note on the quality, saying it's not just one thing, right? So it's about right from the beginning to the end. So finally, that is what matters, not doing a QC check while production or while harvesting or while giving it to the customer, but right through from beginning to the end. So I think that's a very important slide. And your final thoughts, Dr. Edward?
Yeah. So what I believe is to make a cold chain, you know, more efficient and more sustainable, they should initially, whatever PRPs is required, you know, that is very important aspect to establish it. Provide the proper resources, let it be your PCMs, your gel packs, your bags, and these kind of things. You know, it all should be in place to, first of all, ensure that you have a proper thing. And then the people who operate this needs to be trained very well, and to continue to monitor and efficiently update things. A proper PDCA cycle should be established. So benchmark to any kind of standard. I mean, they can choose it to whatever kind of standard. At minimum, they should adopt the FSSAI, whatever regulation is there. It is a minimum legal standards that are required in this country, and they should proactively and voluntarily, you know, establish it and implement it in their systems. And of course, there is a lot of data flowing, and without tech, I don't think we can handle any of those data. So that is should be implemented also to monitor these quality systems. So this is what will, you know, what you call benchmark a good cold chain. If these components are there, definitely anybody could be successful with their cold chain, and definitely reach a good quality, high quality, and proper product in a proper temperature to their customers.
Fantastic. I think a great way to kind of end this session, focusing on regulatory and making sure at least you do the basic bare minimum. There are standards which are there, but at least making sure that you meet the regulatory and the compliance systems, train the people, I guess, use the technology and traceability and all of that. So I think with that, we are already, I'm seeing 7 minutes past our time, so we'll try to quickly wrap up. I think it was fun conversation. I think it was, I really kind of enjoyed it with everybody pitching in and putting in their thoughts. I think it's good to get everybody's ideas. So thank you everyone for being here and sparing your time. So hope it was insightful for all the folks who were tuned in. I want to thank especially the panelists, Shiv Kumar, Arthur, Dr. Edward, for taking the time out. I'm sure all of us are busy. There's enough data getting logged for you guys to go look at, but thank you for sharing this. I'm sure there's a lot of things that folks would have learned. Hopefully, they can adopt some of these, ask questions around it at least. I'm hopeful that people understand that these are questions to be asked, right? And then before we wrap up, a little bit about what we as a company do. So we are a compliance, regulatory, and food safety company. And our objective is to keep food safe and nutrition for everyone. So we help our clients with design implementation standards, regulatory, all of that. And Food Safety Conversation is our monthly webinar series to share knowledge from practitioners. We really like to hear about what people are doing on various aspects of food safety. So every month we try to cover a topic on that is relevant for that time. If you have any feedback, please do share your feedback on our email ID, feedback@foodsafetyworks.com. If there are topics that you want us to talk about, you can let us know as well. You can stay updated on our webinars by subscribing to our YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, any of these. And our handle everywhere is Food Safety Works. We regularly share news and insights about what's going on in the world of food safety. As a company, we are committed to sharing knowledge and providing end-to-end solutions. We conduct online trainings on various topics. We are also an FSSAI training partner for some of those basic trainings as well as mandatory trainings. We do a lot of work around regulatory and labeling. This week, we are doing a training on FSSAI labeling regulation that happens on Friday. You can register for the same. You can download the app. We have an app, Android app, which lists all our trainings that are upcoming. So we try to kind of keep people informed. To check out how we can help you on your journey to health, safety, and food, please do visit our website, www.foodsafetyworks.com. And while you are there, don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter. With that monologue, I think I'd like to end this session. Thank you, everyone, for the patience and taking this time out. It was really great. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Lastly, Ramesh, if you're done.
Yes, I'm done.
Yeah, lastly, thanks for creating such a platform and where getting the knowledge from the people and sharing the knowledge to the people. That's very, very important.
Thank you. So I think
that was nice. Thank you.
Yeah, that's our objective, saying what we have should be shared with everybody so that we're able to multiply the knowledge. So thank you so much for taking time out and thinking that it was important to be here in your busy schedule. Thank you, everyone.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Nice meeting you, Author and Shiva, by the way.
Thank you so much, everybody.
We'll catch up sometime.
Yeah. Bye-bye.